Hello to you. Hello, hello, hello. So this is day 3 of 365 days. I'm going to start off with a loop that I created last night, and it's a really wintry day today, so the mood is sort of, in the flowy zone. I'm finding that I'm sort of like in the flowy zone in my work. It's kind of like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Just basically weaving things together, but weaving things together really in flow. So we're going to be talking about clarity today, and we're going to be talking about the movement from basically being uncertain, unclear, confused, into the place where there is clarity, where there's certainty, where there's a sense of knowing. So before that, let's see if we can bring some sounds in, shall we? This is called Earth Codes. Find your truth and learn how to fly. Fire sky, find your truth and learn how to fly. Earth, water, fire, sky, find your truth, then learn how to fly. Earth, water, fire, sky, find your truth, then learn fly. Earth, water, fire, sky, find your truth, learn how to fly. Earth, water, fire, sky, find your truth, and learn how to fly. So, I'm going to be finding my truth and flying. Thank you so much for being here. I can see one person's watching so far, so let me know who you are. And just share yourself with us. So today, I'm going to be speaking into clarity, because clarity is one of the pillars of Soul Coded. It's one of the main pillars, like the first pillars of Soul Coded. And we go into clarity from the place of intuition, because for me, intuition is a space where you truly begin to have a relationship of trusting yourself. I've got some reverb going on here. Yeah. You begin to have a relationship where you bring trust in and you trust yourself. And in order to have that kind of a relationship, it's necessary for you to have a relationship with your intuition. There's just no, basically it's that sense of being able to read your environment, to be able to read the subtle shifts, and to be able to know how you fit in with those shifts and what the next step is based on that. So when we're speaking about clarity, there's so many different nuances and so many different layers to clarity. But one of the layers that I'm going to go into here is a layer that takes us from confusion into certainty. So going into confusion first, especially when it comes to doing your soul work in the world, right? Confusion is that sort of sense of brain fog, that sense of brain freeze, not knowing what to do, having no idea what the next step is, not really understanding where you are and where you are in relation to other things, not understanding exactly what it is that you're doing. And this kind of thing can happen a lot in businesses where there's a soul calling, where there's a soul tug, where there's a soul yearning, where the person is being pulled by the very momentum of the necessity to do what they are here to do and express into the world. But in order to actually bring it forward, there has to be a way of starting to relate with it from a real deep understanding of your place, what you're doing here, why is what you're doing necessary for us, for the world, for your community, for the person that you serve. And to bring that level of clarity in, you have to start to bring in a really powerful relationship with your intuition, a powerful relationship with yourself as you relate to your world. So when you're in that kind of confused state, a lot of times the way it comes out in the work that you're doing is you just have no idea how to start your day. You know there are certain things that you need to be doing. So you know, for example, that you need to bring more people into your world. You know that you need to sell things in order for the business to be a viable thing. You know that you need to reach out. You know that you need to have some kind of a presence in your community or your world. But it isn't clear at all what these things are, right? And the confusion then comes from this sense of waking up every day without really a solid sense of a plan, and without a solid sense of what's working versus what's not working. And so the movement from that place is to really start to move into what clarity means to you. And with clarity comes certainty. Now, certainty is a really interesting one, because certainty doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to know everything about everything and you're going to understand in every single moment what to do next. There are times when you have absolutely no idea what the next step is. And this is where certainty ties into intuition, and it weaves itself into intuition. Because in order for you to have certainty at all times, it's to have certainty in your own self, to have certainty in your capacity to find the thing, to find the answer, to do the thing, to have certainty that you are able to connect with the resources that you need to connect to, you're able to reach the people that you need to reach, you're able to find the information and the wisdom that you need to find. And in order for that to happen, it has to hook into intuition. So your certainty has to hook into intuition. It's really interesting when it comes to this kind of a thing, that intuition in the grandest scale of our world is something that we are only really just starting to have a relationship with, that doesn't involve minimizing, reducing, contracting, ridiculing, because intuition is very much a feminine quality. It's a quality of stillness. It's a quality of opening to receive. It's a quality of really getting that sense of where you are in relation to something. So it's allowing projective forces to come forward and inform, to bring wisdom. So there's a sense of standing and stillness in order to receive. That's a part of the intuitive force, with intuition. When you're in that place, there's somebody at the door, but Chris is answering, my partner's going to answer it. But when you're in that place of intuition, basically there is a sense of you have to have pockets of stillness in order to allow the information to come through. You have to have pockets of stillness in order to allow whatever wisdom is coming through to come through. And that requires, even if there's a lot of noise, even if there's a lot of productivity, even if there's a lot of movement, you still have to find areas and pockets where you can be still to allow information to come through. And it's in that stillness that it doesn't feel normal and natural if you are in a place where it's really challenging, or in a place where it feels like there's fight and flight, so it feels like there really needs to be a lot of movement. It doesn't feel natural to breathe, to come to stillness, to come to a sense of center where there is enough space, because in that moment it feels like everything's really close. So to come to a space where you are centering in and honing in and tapping into intuition, that space is a space that you need to make way for. And it's a space that when you first start doing it feels unnatural to be doing. And this is where the development of the relationship with intuition starts to come in. Because once you start to develop that relationship, you can really begin to hang your certainty on your intuition. You know, you can begin to hang the fact that when you don't know, knowing is coming. When you have no idea, the ideas will come. When you don't understand what the next step is, the next step is coming. You know, that sort of sense of like you are able to tune in and tap in to your quantum field to bring forward what is necessary to be brought forward. So this gives you an idea of clarity from the place of certainly soul coded, or where I come from, but also from the place of when you're connecting to your intuition. One of the things that's going to be coming forward as an invitation is something called the Oracle. And I've been called the Oracle quite a few times. It's one of these things that people tend to relate to me when they sort of go, oh, you know, this is how I perceive you. Oracle comes up in the conversation quite a bit, and one of the reasons that is because there is just a natural way of me tuning into energy fields. I've been doing it for so long now, it's become the work that I do. And so whenever I find myself in front of people, particularly people that there's resonance and there's a sense of intimacy with, there is a way of relating to them that they feel really seen, they feel really heard, and there's truth, like real authentic truth between us. For me, this is how I live. It's come to the point now where the relationship with truth is a relationship that is forged in every single moment. So much so that, you know, I've become like hyper aware to the distortion of the untrue to get back into truth. And there are ways of expressing truth, you know. And also awareness that not my truth isn't always everybody else's truth. So we live in a symbiotic relationship with truth. But the place where the Oracle piece is a place of coming home to the truth of the heart. And the truth of the heart is the truth of intuition. And we're going to take this foresight into 10 bodies. Now, when we speak of intuition, generally speaking, people think of claircognizance, they think of that instant knowing, they think of clairvoyance, they relate to it from the place of the psychic, where, you know, the capacity to read feels, and so to be able maybe to bring forward wisdom and information in fields that aren't necessarily present, or to be able to read timelines so that there's a projection into the future that can be latched on and brought into this now moment. And this is what, you know, where we get the idea of fortune tellers and destiny holders and all of these kind of things. For me, that's just one tiny piece of what we are when it comes to our intuition. There's 10 bodies that I work with in terms of the intuition, and it's broken down really into 8 bodies, but there's 8 bodies that I work with, 8 of your own bodies that I work with when it comes to your intuition. And so in the Oracle, we're going to go deeply into those 8 ways of intuiting. And it's going to be quite powerful. So this is an invitation for you. If this is something that you feel aligned to, this is something that's definitely coming, and I'm going to be sharing more on that as I'm going along. But just opening out for one of the pieces that comes forward with that is the piece of certainty. All right, I am going to be doing quite a few of these. Basically, I'm opening up to really sharing the world of soul coded, to sharing the world, you know, the world that I inhabit, of weaving soul into life, weaving soul into business. There's going to be a sense of sharing that more and more with you. And I've actually committed to doing 365 days of lives. But what I'm actually feeling into is that the lives are going to be happening in different places. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be in Facebook every single day doing the live. But if I'm not there that day, there will be an invitation to come to somewhere else where there will still be a life. So the continuity of creating lives every single day for an entire year is 100% the commitment, and I'm going to dance with it. That's the thing that I've got. I've got a language of grace and ease. So the language of grace and ease is how can we be really graceful, and how can we find the ease even in the depth of the challenge, right? How can we find that zone within ourselves where we're able to get through, and there's grace that's leading us and guiding us and also internalized within us. So that's something that I'm always weaving into my own experience, and I'm taking this into this experience of weaving 365 lives. So I will see you again in some form tomorrow. And we're going to go into just a little bit more depth on intuition and clarity again tomorrow. All right, so much love. If you are here, let me know that you are here, so I actually know that you've been with me. So just leave a message, leave a comment. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay. And if there is anybody that you think can be served by this, be served by going into their soul codes, being served by going into a connection with their own quantum field, then share this with them, because my thing is to create connections and create community and create dialogue and create conversation around this as well. All right, so much love. I will see you again tomorrow. Much love.